What's up, guys? Here we are, Lake Pickwick, early spring, March. I did a little Ask the Pros. You guys know I room with Ed Loughran, Bryan Schmitt, John Cruz. So we're gonna ask them a question. Early springtime like this, what is one bait? If you were in a tournament where you could only weigh in one fish and you could only have one bait tied on, what would you have tied on? I'll start it off personally. You guys follow me, you know. That Spro Uruku Shad 75, that lipless crankbait, Mudbug Red as well. I have caught more big fish on that single bait in the last few years than I think anything. I'd have it on a 7-foot 3-inch medium heavy fast Victory rod by St. Croix, 15-pound fluorocarbon, Uruku Shad 75 Mudbug Red. I can promise you that dude will be on my front deck tomorrow. So Mr. Ed Loughran's right here next to me, so let's ask him the same question. Mr. Ed.
Yes.
So here we are, Lake Pickwick, early spring. This time of the year is incredible to fish, right? Big fish. So if you were fishing a tournament tomorrow and you had one, you can only weigh in one fish and you can only have one bait tied on and one rod and reel, what would it be?
Well, if the goal is to catch the biggest fish and win the tournament and I only have one choice, it would have to be a jig. I'd probably have a bullet-shaped jig so that I could flip it as well as swim it. Have it on a 7.6, probably medium heavy rod, 20-pound fluorocarbon, and a high-speed reel. I think that would be the most versatile bait I could have. I could swim it, pitch it, skip it, fish it deep if I had to. I'd probably go with a 1/2 ounce, and that's probably what I would do if I could only have one bait and one setup.
Thank you, Ed. Gotta catch big ones too. Now let's go find John. We'll ask him the same question. He's up the hill, so give me a second. All right, guys, made it up the hill to John Cruz. You just heard from myself, Ed Loughran. So here he is, Cruise Missile himself. Mr. John.
Yo.
Here we are, Lake Pickwick, early spring, time of the year for big ones.
That's right.
So if tomorrow was the tournament, you could weigh in only one fish, and you could only have one rod and one bait on your front deck, what would it be? Go.
Man, that's gonna be tough. I'm gonna go with the missile jigs, mini flip jig, probably 1/2 ounce. I'm gonna take a D-bomb and cut just a smidgen of it off, and then put that whole thing on there. So I'm gonna have a big profile because I can flip that, I can swim that. There's all kind of different stuff I can do with that. I can cover water, I can fish targets, and that's one thing that I would have in my hand, and I know I would catch fish, and good chance to catch a big one too.
That's interesting because very similar to Ed Loughran, but let me ask you this, but Missile Jigs also has a flip out, which is a little bigger profile. Is there a situation where you'd go to that one instead of the mini flip?
If you could go either way. You could go interchangeable. The flip out is a little bit bigger profile, might be a good way to go. I have just caught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bass on the mini flip. And I know exactly how that bait feels and the fall rate and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I went with the mini flip. Flip out is a big profile. If I really wanted a big bite, that's probably what I should be going to.
Hey, it's all about confidence. So guys, that's another way, very similar to Ed, a little bit different but very similar. So now we're just going to wait for Bryan Schmitt, and we'll ask him a little while that it's that time of the year. It is a springtime, big fish. So let's see what Bryan Schmitt has to say. All right, guys, now we're here. Schmitty's turn. All right, Schmitt, here we are, Lake Pickwick, early spring. We know big ones are living around here. So if the tournament was tomorrow and you could weigh in one fish, but you could only have one bait tied on, what would it be and why?
So Pickwick has grass, and anytime you have grass in the spring before they spawn, a vibrating jig catches big ones, catches numbers. Tournaments get one on it. So hands down, I would have a vibrating jig on.
100%. Them things catch big ones. So you heard it from everybody. Lipless from me, jig John Cruz, jig Ed Loughran, and now you heard the bladed jig. Guys, those are 3 baits that will catch absolute giants this time of the year. If it's springtime and you're looking for one big fish, go to what you're confident in. One of those 3 choices are pretty good ones. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. So here we go. We're getting ready for Lake Pickwick tomorrow here in Florence, Alabama. And let's see if one of those baits, I guarantee you one of those 3 baits between us is going to catch a big one. So let's find out. See you guys next time. Dream big.